quite simply, Bucks win, boom times. Title Town. Oh, what a good feeling. For those long-suffering Buccaneers fans, it's a new era. Why? Well, they pressured Patrick Mahomes on 52% of his dropbacks. That's despite only blitzing him on 6 dropbacks, the lowest blitz rate by a Todd Bowles-led defense over the last 5 seasons. The Chiefs only used 5 blockers to protect Mahomes on 92% of pass plays. Then they were forced to block the likes of Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, one-on-one, and certainly the loss of tackle Eric Fisher hurt as well. In the secondary, the Bucs used 2 safety shells on 87% of their plays, the highest rate by a Bulls-led defense over the last 5 seasons. Thanks to that, Mahomes 0 for 5 on throws of 20-plus yards. And Tampa Bay utilized the play action to perfection during the playoffs. Brady using play action 29% of the time, up from 18.5% in the regular season. And last night, he went 10 for 13 with 3 TD passes when using play action. Speaking of the GOAT, here he is earlier today.
Being in the league for a long time, rarely does the season ever just go, smooth sailing. So every team deals with adversities, has to overcome different obstacles over the course of the year. This team found a way when it mattered most. Offensively, we made some great plays when we needed to, but it was the ultimate team effort. Amazing group of guys, and I'm very blessed to be a part of it.
We just worked on our game just overall from A to Z, and that's what you got to do, just that connection. It just doesn't build just overnight. It's been built, over the years, and in order to keep that connection strong, you got to keep working on it. You got to keep working on it day in and day out, and that's what we did, and that's what we have always done.
This year was so unique in that, we had no time. We're going to New Orleans, and I think I'm speaking for Tom here. It's like, what the hell's that play? It's like, what's that word mean? And it's like, and what the hell's this guy going to do on this play? I can't give Tom enough credit for just hanging in there with the coaches and knowing this is going to work out sooner or later.
I love BA and his transparency and then Tom's reaction. Bucs reporter Jenna Lane joining us now with much more. Jenna, what's the biggest priority for the Super Bowl champs as they enter the offseason now?
Yeah, Kevin, after Bruce Arians gave all the praise in the world to his coordinators, Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, after that game last night, he said, we've got to find a way to get all of our guys back. And he wants them to get paid, too. But they recognize that if they want to get back to it, which is what they talked about last night, they've got to get to work on re-signing their own free agents. Rob Gronkowski was only on a 1-year deal. The same with Antonio Brown, as well as Leonard Fournette, who led the entire NFL this postseason, leading into the Super Bowl with 313 yards from scrimmage. I talked to all 3 of them. They all said they'd love to be back. Brown told me it would mean everything to be back with this team. But you've also got guys like Shaq Barrett, who had another outstanding year, and he also got some pressure on Mahomes last night. Levante David, regarded as the heart and soul of this locker room, and Ndamukong Suh is going to be a free agent. And you've got wide receiver Chris Godwin. I did get a chance as well to talk to Barrett last night, and he absolutely wants to return too. He played on the franchise tag this year. He really feels like he has found a home in Tampa, in Todd Bowles' defense, and he said, they give me the freedom to play the way I want to play.
David and Sue and Barrett, they were dominant last night against the Chiefs. Jenna Lane with the very latest on the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. Hannah?
And now, Kevin, today is the official beginning of the offseason, and it will be dominated by the quarterback carousel. League sources telling ESPN the Texans continue to tell teams they are not trading Deshaun Watson. Watson, who signed a 4-year, $156 million contract extension in September, has requested a trade. He actually did so weeks ago, according to sources. Meanwhile, sources telling Adam Schefter that teams have reached out to the Jets about acquiring Sam Darnold, the number 3 overall pick in 2018. Darnold is 13-25 in 3 seasons as a Jets starter. He threw more picks than touchdowns this past season. Sources also telling Schefter that Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are not close to a new deal. Prescott played this past year on the franchise tag and suffered a season-ending ankle injury, as you know, in Week 5. Dallas going 4-7 without him. And we could be close to another big quarterback trade. ESPN's Chris Mortensen and Adam Schefter reporting that the Eagles are expected to trade Carson Wentz in the coming days. They're said to be looking for a Matthew Stafford-type package in return for Wentz. If you'll recall, the Lions received Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks, and a third-round pick for Stafford. All of which brings us to the Mort Report, and senior NFL insider Chris Mortensen is with us. So, Mort, what teams are you hearing might be interested in exploring a trade for Wentz?
And even though we were expecting one possibly as soon as this week, before I came on air, I was told nothing is imminent, and by imminent, nothing happening tonight that we know of. But the 2 other teams that have been identified have been the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts, and for obvious reasons. The Colts head coach is Frank Reich. He was Carson Wentz's offensive coordinator his first 2 seasons in the league. We know the success he had. In fact, when Wentz was on that MVP tear in 2017 and got injured in December against the Rams, Frank was the offensive coordinator then, and Nick Foles cleaned it up. They went on to win the Super Bowl. Chicago Bears are the other team, and that's interesting because obviously Nick Foles is there on the roster. But today, I thought it was interesting that they promoted, the Bears did, John DeFilippo. From quarterback coach to quarterback coach and passing game coordinator. So that's somebody who also was with Wentz when he had those 2 first really promising seasons. So those are the 2 teams we're looking at. Eagle source says that they have more than that, but I don't think they're getting a Matthew Stafford deal, by the way. That is unrealistic to the teams that I've spoken with.
Yeah, 2 number ones, or 2 first-round picks, the third-round pick, and a quarterback in return. I know the internet was going crazy at the thought of Foles being traded for Wentz. Hard to wrap your brain around that one, but hey, it's been a strange year. That would make sense.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, good. You don't think so. All right, but let me ask you this, Mort. Let's just go back a step, because the Eagles brought in a new head coach in Nick Sirianni. They fired Doug Peterson, who Wentz reportedly had problems with. How did they get to this point of definitely looking to trade Wentz rather than having him compete with Jalen Hurts for the job under a new staff?
A couple of things to note. Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, said, and nobody seemed to want to believe him or are reporting at the time, that the Peterson dismissal was not connected to Carson Wentz's failures this past year. And now we have proof of that because Wentz is on the market. And you don't trade somebody like Carson Wentz, somebody who you've invested in, unless the owner has approved of it. And then Nick Sirianni is the new coach of the Eagles, and even though he came from the Colts staff, he hasn't coached Wentz directly. But I do know, and I reported that last week at a staff meeting, Sirianni basically wanted to keep Carson Wentz. And how did we get here? Listen, go back to last April when the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts. It goes into January before that draft when Wentz was in the playoffs, had a spectacular December, and we all saw Jadeveon Clowney of the Seahawks, Jadeveon Clowney there, spear Wentz in the back of the helmet, causing a concussion in the first quarter, and he went out there. And that just kind of raised some of those concerns that Wentz had missed 3 playoffs because of injury, and so they decided to go ahead and use a second rounder on Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma, the former Alabama quarterback. And Hurts, it obviously was a solid prospect, showed well in December. No communication with Carson Wentz, and certainly was a sign to Wentz that they are uncertain about him, and they have refused to name him the starter going into this next season. So both sides look like they're prepared to move on, despite Sirianni hoping that Wentz returns to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he has relationships with several coaches on that Colts staff. That could be interesting to see if they could really resurrect the career of a guy who led the NFL with 15 picks and 50 sacks taken last season. Lots more to talk about. We'll check back with you in just a bit for some more news. Thanks.
Still to come on SportsCenter. Stand by for PTI's bonus topic. Tony and Mike discuss if Tom Brady and the Bucs or Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have a better chance to return to the Super Bowl next season. Plus, with college basketball's blue bloods at a historic low, which struggling powerhouse can still make a run in March? And in case you missed it, Adrian Wojnarowski is live with the motivation behind the Knicks bringing Derrick Rose to New York. SportsCenter continues next.